invite you to join me on page 188 for our opening Zmira. These are words from the poet Chaim Nachman Bialik. And this is another setting of his words. Boi Malka, Boi Hakala, Shalom Aleichem Malachei HaShalom, which is talking about the Shabbat coming in. Asking Shabbat to come and be with us, to draw near, and peace to be upon us. The opening words, Hachama Merosh Ha'ilanu Nistalka, that the sun on the treetops is going down. So as we look out the window, we see that darkness is falling, Shabbat is coming in. There are a number of melodies that these words have been set to. This is a newer one. We're just going to focus on the bottom part, Boi Malka, Boi Hala. Blessing that are on page 23, and Emma's going to lead us in lighting the Shabbat candles.
Please join me at the top of page 21. This Shabbat sheds light upon us, light for the days to come. We have leisure by which to see the world with new, grateful eyes. We have time now to look inward, and now we are free to embrace family and friends, to make our lives simpler and more complete.
We think of our homes and those we love, when we call to mind the duties and affections of home, how great are our blessings and friendships, all cares and sorrows soften.
May the hearts of parents and children always be turned to one another, that our homes may be sanctuaries of love and devotion. May we use this Shabbat to bring happiness to our family life and blessing to our people. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'hadlikner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu. Yeah.
Page 25, the words of Psalm 98. Sing a new song to Adonai. Sing to Adonai all the earth. Let the earth ring out in song to God. Sing to Adonai a new song. Let the heavens be glad and the earth rejoice. Let the sea roar and all that fills it. Let the field exult and all its creatures. Let the trees of the forest sing for joy. Sing to Adonai all the earth. Sing to Adonai a new song. Let the rivers clap hands. Let the mountains sing for joy. Sing to Adonai all the earth. Break forth, sing aloud, shout praise. Page 29. On page 34, Nelson, would you lead us in the words of How Can I Sing?
How can I sing of day and night when it is God who formed them?
How can I sing of heaven and earth when it is God who decreed them?
How can I sing of mountains and hills when it is God who planted them?
How can I sing of seas and deserts when it is God who begot them?
And how can I sing of earth and its fullness when it is God who made the deep?
I shall sing to God who fashioned all and is beyond all, and is to God I shall sing. rise for the words of the Baruch. We continue at the top of page 37, responsively in the English. We praise you, eternal our God, whose presence fills creation. Your word brings on the evening twilight. You open the gates of dawn with wisdom, and with foresight you make times pass and seasons change. Your plan sets the courses of stars in the sky, creating day and night, turning light into darkness and darkness into light. You make the day fade away and bring on the night, separating day and night. You rule the hosts of heaven. We praise you, eternal one, who brings on the evening twilight. We rise for the words of Shema and Ve'ahavta on page 40. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shekinu וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך, והיו לתדבות בעיניך, ובטחתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. On page 42, Roz, would you lead us at the bottom of the page?
I, Miriam, stand at the sea and turn to face the desert, stretching endless and still.
My arms reach to the sky, and I want to sing the song rising beside me.
My mouth open, I stop. Where are the words? Where the melody? In a moment of panic, my vision goes blank. Can I take a step without knowing a destination? Will I falter? Will I fall? Will the ground sink away from under me?
The song is still unformed. How can I sing? To take the first step, to sing a new song, to close one's eyes and dive into unknown waters, for a moment knowing nothing, risking all, but then to discover the waters are friendly, the ground is firm, and the song rises again.
As you redeemed Israel and saved us from arms stronger than our own, may you redeem all those who are still oppressed and persecuted. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We praise you, Eternal One, Redeemer of Israel. We continue responsively at the top of page 47, reading Aleph. And Harriet, would you lead us? The tapestry.
The strength of a piece of cloth is in the threads of which the whole is woven.
The tapestry of our Jewish heritage has in it threads of many colors, from bright gold to somber black.
With its colors echoing the events of the time, this tapestry was begun many thousands of years ago. Its weaving will continue for the many thousands of years to come.
The first strands slid through the fingers of Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. Their thread was strong, their colors were brilliant.
The pattern grew, the length increased, and the stories of our heroines and heroes, their deeds, their lives were woven into the cloth of beauty and lasting strength.
We join together on page 49 in chanting Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadol v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach yirtzeh v'yamlich malchutei b'chayei chol v'yom u'chayei b'chol beit Yisrael b'gala u'vizman karev ve'yimeru amen yesh shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam olam ne'amaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalash shmei d'kudesha v'yichul le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata damir an be'alma v'yimeru amen. We rise in body or in spirit as we chant together the words of the Amidah. Adonai sifatai tivtachu v'yagi tehillatcha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imateinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Sarah Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Rivka Elohei Yaakov Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot U'Meri Geula Livnei Bneihem Le'man Shemo Be'ah Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen Baruch atah Adonai L'chaynu Olam Bezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai L'chayei hakol atah Ram Mashiach Mechalkel Chayim B'chesed Mechayei hakol b'rachamim rabim Somech noflim v'rofeh cholim U'matir asurim U'mkayim natol Li shenei achar Michamocha ba'gekuno U'mido melach Melech levitum chayei U'matzmiach Yeshua V'ne'emanata le'chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai L'chayei hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kdoshim b'cho yom yalalucha selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated and join with me responsively in the middle of page 56. Unless the eye catch fire, God will not be seen. Unless the ear catch fire, God will not be heard. Unless the tongue catch fire, God will not be named. Unless the heart catch fire, God will not be loved. Unless the mind catch fire, God will not be known. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu, be'emcha Yisrael, u'tefilatam be'ahava tikabel. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechivoto le'tzion. Shefoch ruchacha aleinu, v'techazena eineinu, ve'shuvcha le'tzion, be'irachamim. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechivoto le'tzion, hamachazir shechivoto le'tzion. Please join me on the top of page 60. We gratefully acknowledge, eternal God, that you are our creator and our preserver, the rock of our life and our protecting shield. We give thanks to you for our lives, which are in your hands, for our souls, which are in your keeping, for your wondrous providence and your continuous goodness, which you bestow upon us day by day. Truly, your mercies never fail, and your love and kindness never cease. Therefore do we put our trust in you. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm and praise your name in truth. Eternal God, whose name is goodness, we give you thanks and praise. And we turn to the words of Shalom Rav on page 43, page 63. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Tassim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Tassim le'olam. Ki ata melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Tassim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Tassim le'olam. V'tov leinecha le'orev et amcha Yisrael. Bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Tassim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Tassim le'olam. Tassim le'olam. Tassim le'olam. We take a few moments now to pray the words of our own hearts. to the words of Misha Beirach, which you can find on page 133. On this Shabbat especially, we ask God to bring healing to those in need of healing of body and healing of spirit. Frank Kay, Raymond and Francis Rigby, Eudoro Torres, Consuelo Franco, Dylan Kakel, Janet Brown, Wilfred Walker, Shirley Herman, Rick Valentine, Marlene Friedman, Jack Kudlatz, Suzanne Shear Stimson, Bernie McLennan, Nicola Proetti, Rebecca Bodville, Philip Shepard, Carl Katz, Raina Rowan, Gilon Naruzzi, Madeline Kitson, Kathy Kitson, Dee Hickey, Lorraine DaCosta, Adela Tsur, Al Lofsky, Evelyn Tyndall, Amanda Schenk, Daniel Black, Jean Elizabeth Pitt, Karen Smith, Francis Van Tyne, and Bob Smith. I invite you to share aloud names of those for whom you are praying on this Shabbat. We pray that God may give them comfort and strength. We are beginning this week a new book of Torah. Last week we completed the whole book of Vayikra, the middle book of Torah. It's actually one of the longest books in the Torah itself. And this week we begin the book of Numbers, or Bamidbar, as it's called in Hebrew. It's called Numbers because the beginning of it numbers a census of Israelites, all the men in the Israelite camp. But Bamidbar means wilderness. And it's really about the journey through the wilderness that our people take. And Bamidbar, this parsha, always comes right before Shavuot. We are ending our counting of the Omer coming up this week with the holiday of Shavuot, the giving of Matan Torah at Sinai, the giving of Torah at Sinai, moving from slavery, wilderness, freedom. And Bamidbar is always read on the Shabbat before to teach us, the sages say, that if you want to merit receiving Torah, you have to make yourself like the wilderness. You have to open yourself up. You have to have humility to feel kind of open, vast, and bare to let Torah in. And sometimes Bamidbar is translated as desert, but I don't think that that really captures the essence in its entirety. It's really better captured by the word wilderness, because if you have traveled throughout Israel, you know that there are mountainous regions, there are cavernous regions that sometimes are struck by flash floods. There's lots of different colors. There's an expansiveness and also a simplicity of the environment. It's not just desert. The terrain is vast, and it highlights in many ways our smallness. Sometimes in place of fear, we have awe. And you know that word for fear and awe are actually the same in Hebrew, yirah. The Yamim Noraim, the high holy days, is the days of awe, the days perhaps of fear and trembling in some ways as well, but it's the same. There's a very fine line between those two. And being in some of these very expansive places, we have this sense of religious awe almost. Being out in the wilderness, very often people feel this sense of great overwhelming awe, being in the presence of the divine, of something bigger, something greater than we are. And yet it's really hard in our own days, in our own daily lives, to make ourselves open to that vastness and that expansiveness and find the quiet that one might have needed to really listen and hear Torah. And I wanted to share just a short story with you about what that experience is like in life. This is a story called The Window Box. So one day a woman and her wife were walking down the streets of New York together. And as usual, what surrounded them were the busy sounds of the city. The honking of taxi cabs, the squeal of bus brakes, the ding of bike messenger bells, the talking around them. And after a few moments of walking together, the woman turned to her wife and said, "Oh my goodness, did you hear that?" And she turned back to her and said, "Did I hear what?" "Did you hear that? Wow, that was amazing." "Did I hear what? All I can hear is the honk of the taxi cabs and the squeal of the bus brakes and the ding of the messenger bells on the bikes and all the noise around us. What is it that you hear?" And her wife turned to her and said, "Come with me." They walked together to the end of the block, and they waited for the light to change. And they walked across a very wide avenue back down the other side of the street. And meanwhile, there is still this cacophony of all the sounds of the city around them. And they came up to a building and stood next to the ledge. And underneath the window of a storefront, there's a window box. The first woman beckoned her wife and said, "Come, look here." And they peered over the window box into the side, and they looked in. And what did they see? A cricket. The woman stood back and said to her wife, "How could you have heard this cricket? We were on the other side of the street. All I could hear were honking taxis and bike messenger bells and buses and lots of noise, people talking, people shouting. How could you hear that?" The woman smiled and she said, "Watch this." She reached into her pocket. She pulled out a quarter. She held her arm out in front of her. And standing there on the sidewalk up against the building, she dropped the quarter to the ground. And the minute that that quarter hit the pavement, with a little ping, everything stopped. There were no bus horns, there were no taxi cab horns, no bus brakes, no ding of messenger bells, nothing. Everybody within a few feet turned to look at that quarter. And she turned back to her wife and she said, "See, it all depends what you're listening for." And if you've ever been there, whether it's on a noisy corner in downtown Toronto, whether it's on the top of a mountain, whether it's somewhere in the wilderness at Sinai, it depends on what you're listening for. So Bamidbar tells us the wilderness is the place of our journey. It's that place where if we want to merit receiving Torah, if we want to really be there and stand at Sinai, and we say to each other traditionally, "I'll see you at Sinai." If we want to be there, we have to wait. We have to listen. We have to open our ears. We have to make ourselves a wilderness. The sages tell us the Torah was given to the accompaniment of three things: fire and water and wilderness. And why those three? Because they're all free to the world. They're all something that none of us individually can hold on to and possess. It's open. So if we make ourselves hefker, if we make ourselves ownerless like the wilderness, we can acquire that wisdom that is Torah, if only we know how to listen. That is why we say Shema. Shema. Listen. Shabbat Shalom. So we are about to count the Omer for this week. We're coming to the end of our counting, as I said. Shavuot begins Thursday evening. I invite you to join me in the blessing for the counting of the Omer. This is the 7th week of the Omer, and the 7th week is known as the week of Malchut, of God's presence. And again, if you're listening, if you're paying attention, we want to find a way to feel that presence. Tradition says never was the presence of God felt as deeply as it was at Sinai. And so as we approach this celebration of Revelation, we ask ourselves, what teaching of Torah do I want to concentrate on this year? How do I hear the calling of the divine to my soul? Hineni muchan u'mezuman l'kayem mitzvat aseh shel sfirat ha'omer. Behold, I am prepared and ready to perform the mitzvah of counting the Omer. Please join me in the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Hayom arba'a v'arba'im yom shehem shisha shavuot u'shnei yamim la'omer. Today is the 44th day, making 6 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. Please join me on page 149 as we rise for the words of Aleinu. Aleinu shabeach l'Adon ha'kol v'atei tefillah liyotzeh b'reshit asher samchel ken li'achad et shemo v'gor aleinu l'amlich malchuto v'anachnu chorim u'mishtachavim u'modim l'ifnei Erev malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu shehu notei shamayim v'yosei ha'aretz u'moshav ikaro b'shamayim imav u'shtirat uzo b'govei meromim hu Eloheinu ein od Erev malkeinu efes u'mato Kakatu b'torato v'yadatayum v'shavota Erev avecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim imav v'yal haaretz mitachareinu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz v'yom lahu hiya Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Page 148. You are with us in our prayer, in our love and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and to do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble and pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. At this time, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, and those of our friends and neighbors, and all those whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We're sad to announce the passing of Susan Botnick, the wife of Harold, sister of Ruth Weitzman and Bushi Schmidt, sister-in-law of Arlene Botnick and Margaret Botnick, cherished aunt of many, many nieces, nephews, great-nieces, great-nephews, and cousins. May her memory be for a blessing. Shiva Minyanim continue. The next one is tomorrow evening, Saturday at 7:30 p.m. here at Solel, and then on Sunday, May 21st, at the home of Harold Botnick in Richmond Hill. We're in Shloshim at this time for Morty Green, the uncle of Cheryl and Kevin Shine and family, and for Wendy Amar, the mother of Jacques, Albert, Esther, and Gabriel, grandmother and great-grandmother. We recall as well the following whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of whose death occurs this week. David Feldman, the father of Lori and the grandfather of Michelle, Jessica, and Ryan. Bertha Mendelson, the mother of Harriet Kornbluth and Jerry Mendelson, the mother-in-law of the late David, the grandmother of Charles, Stephen, and Benjamin. Louis and Joanna DeLue, the grandparents of Joanna Pagrak and Eva Romberg, and the great-grandparents of Ashley Romberg. Simon DeWild, the grandfather of Joanna Pagrak, Eva Romberg, and Catherine Frank, and the great-grandfather of Ashley Romberg. Ann Mincham, the mother of Colin, the grandmother of Dan and Jack. Lillian Cohen, the aunt of Barry Feynman. Josephine Pina Quintiliani, the grandmother of Sarah Quintiliani and Ellie Hoffman, and the great-grandmother. Samuel Edelman, the father of Jane Temple, grandfather of Kevin, Stephen, and Daniel. Sura Rivka Zauberman, the mother of Helene Fleischman. Dorothy Tash, the mother of Marlene and Seymour, the father-in-law of Tom Dennis and the grandmother of Andrew. Isidore Zelding, the brother of Nelson. Mel Kruger, the father of Adam, the father-in-law of Crystal Wong and the grandfather of Ephraim, Harmony, and Zane. And Mona Goldstein, their dear friend of Rita Halpern Grossman. At this time, if you are here to say Kaddish for someone whose name I haven't mentioned, we invite you also to share their name aloud with us. And we ask those who are mourning to please rise first. Min hamakom tinachamu, may you find comfort in God's sheltering presence. Now as a community, we all rise to support those who are mourning and to say Kaddish for those who have no one to say it for them. Yikadal v'yikadash me'rabah ve'alma divrach yiritei v'yamlik malchutei l'chayechon v'yamechon l'chayed chol beit Yisrael ba'galal v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba v'rach le'alam alal ne'almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kudushav richu Le'ela min kol birkata v'shirata, tushvachata v'nechamata, da'miran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imramav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol b'nei adam, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all those who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us, among all of our people, and among all the nations and families of earth. We say together, Amen. This time it's my pleasure to call upon Joel Brown to share greetings and announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So let me begin by saying thank you to Isaiah for being our shamus for tonight. And let me tell you about some of the upcoming services, so lots of good things going on. First of all, tomorrow at 10 a.m. is a regular Shabbat service, and we will be celebrating Zachary Harper's Bar Mitzvah. Also, as the rabbi mentioned, it's almost Shavuot. Shavuot is happening this Thursday, May 25th. Our Shavuot service is at 8 p.m. And we'll be honoring our JIC graduates, and there's a dinner preceding that if you have registered for that. We'll see you then too. And then next Shabbat, Friday, May 26th. Sorry, before we even get to Shabbat, there's a Shavuot morning service on Friday, May 26th at 10 a.m. And that's with Yisrael, of course. And then that evening, May 26th, 8 p.m., regular Erev Shabbat service, and a regular Shabbat service on Saturday, May 27th. Now, I hope you all have your pencils out and are making notes, because some other things that are going on. So this coming week, Tuesday, I've got to find the right spot here. Tuesday, May 23rd, Arlene is having her Lunch and Learn, this time led by Rabbi Bill Tepper. That's at 11:30 a.m. That will be in person here at Solel, not on Zoom. And Rabbi Tepper will be talking about the experience of the deaf and disabled during the Holocaust. And I'm also going to just give you a little bit of a heads up. So a couple of Saturdays from now, June 3rd, our service will actually be something unconventional, something we haven't done before. So Rabbi Pollock will be leading the service in person at Temple Beth Isaiah, which is in Guelph, and we will be celebrating Asher Bronson's Bar Mitzvah. The Bronsons are members at Solel and also at the temple in Guelph, and Rabbi Pollock will be there. The service will also be live streamed, but we won't be here in the building on that day. So that's 2 Saturdays from now, June 3rd. Feel free to come between now and June 3rd. And there's a number of other things going on. I think you'll have to look in your inbox or on the web to see what that all is, or you can ask me all about it at the Oneg, which everyone is invited to join us in the kids' room after the service.
And we invite you to join Joel for Kiddush on page 163 as we rise and sing the blessing together.
Vahi Erev, Vahi Boker, Yom HaShishi. Now the whole universe, sky, earth, and all their array was completed. With the seventh day, God had ended the work of creation and rested with all work completed. Then God blessed the seventh day and called it holy, for with this day God had completed the work of creation. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah b'amanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'yahava u'ratzon b'mchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh b'reishit, kihu yom tefilah v'divrei kodesh, zecher etzion mitzrayim, ki banu b'charta v'yotanu kidashta v'go'adim v'shabbat kodeshecha v'yahava u'ratzon ilchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Hashem.
We're going to conclude the way we began on page 188. Bo'i Hamalka Bo'i Kala. Bo'i Hamalka Bo'i Kala. Shalom Aleichem Aleichem. Shalom. celebrating Shabbat in the Kiddush room. We wish you a Shabbat of joy, of rest, and of peace. Shabbat Shalom.